Yes, I have a brand new instrument. Why I build another one, you ask? Well, friends, over the years I've been granted opportunities to perform beyond the West Coast, but I'd only ever have one of three options. First is to drive the Rimba Tubes to the destination. That's how I've been able to perform in Vegas, the Phoenix Comic-Con, and street perform in Santa Monica. Number two, in very lucky circumstances, I've been able to borrow friends' instruments for gigs in Germany and in France for TV shows. But most often than not, I have to say no to these faraway gigs. But now, I have the KaleidoTubes. What's special about this setup, despite being fun and colorful, is that it is entirely deconstructible. My dad and I designed this version to actually fit into those few suitcases so that it can literally pop up anywhere in the world. But as you can see from the design, it's much more stripped down. Each component needed to be small enough to fit within the suitcase, but also collectively light enough to meet the 50-pound weight limit for each checked bag. So one big difference from all of our previous designs is that we made the decision to use drywall screws to hold all the pipes in place. My biggest concern was that drilling holes into the pipes would affect the resonance and integrity of the sound of each note, but so far it's been a very minor difference as long as I'm always precise with hitting the holes we designated. As for construction, it does take a little time. I've averaged in the 2 to 3 hour range for building the instrument on my own and under 2 hours for taking it all apart to pack up again. But I always find this worth it when I can pop up in cool places like Miami. I had a gig in Washington, and I was just in Buffalo, New York this past weekend. I have a lot of fun features like the wheels, mini paddle holder, and a slew of colorful pipe. Originally we used black ABS pipe like we've used for all of our previous designs, but I've always had this vision to make a rainbow colored instrument. I'm not the first one to build one like this, but I think it was in music class in college when I first learned about these composers who had synesthesia. Synesthesia being the phenomenon where one body sense, such as sound, can trigger another sense, such as sight or the visualization of color. I was especially fascinated by this graph of color schemes that composers and scientists have shared over time, so I used these interpretations as the basis of how I laid out my own color design. I then went out and just bought a bunch of spray paint and literally worked one at a time until I had this kaleidoscopic instrument, hence the name KaleidoTubes. Now honestly, it's more fun to play, it's easier to distinguish the colors when I'm constructing it, and it's quicker to teach songs on because I can just point out what color to play. The only other trade-off with this instrument is that I have a much more limited range of notes. My original PVC instrument up in Oregon is epic with a 42 note range of an E1 to an A4. The Rimba Tubes I have here is a medium 35 note range, ranging from an A1 to an interchangeable G sharp 5. And the KaleidoTubes is a whopping 25 notes, ranging from a D sharp 2 to an E4. Plus the extender for an occasional D2. This progressively smaller frame is obviously a constraint, but also a creative opportunity. I'm having fun finding new arrangements of my medleys and covers, but my muscle memory still wants me to play beyond the frame, so I'll have to quickly think to play elsewhere. With that being said, I'd love your thoughts on the design as well as any songs you'd like to hear on these rainbow tubes. I'll probably still be making more videos on the original setups, but I am hoping to get more into the college market for these pop-up shows with the little guy. If you feel so inspired, I am accepting donations via Patreon for my weekly videos. Super special thanks to Denise Vitally-Byrne and all my other Patreon subscribers for your long time support of backing my projects. I really could not do this creative fun stuff as my life if it weren't for you guys, and I'm truly grateful. Feel free to find me on Instagram for all my day-to-day life stuff, and I'll see you next Rimba Tuesday on here. We had to use dry squall screws.